The bridge of the Dravari warship Glory. Of K was quiet except for the soft hum of engines. Prince Vorath stood near the viewing window, his 4 eyes scanning the darkness of space. Behind him his younger brother Silen paced back and forth with excitement. 12 warships, Silen said proudly, 12 of our finest vessels against whatever pathetic force the humans have stationed here. This will be easy, brother. Morath did not share his brother's enthusiasm. Their father, Emperor Calvarin, had sent them on this mission to secure a resource-rich planet on the border between their empire and human colonial space. The planet was called Varith 7 by the Dravari, though the humans had given it some other name. It did not matter. Soon it would belong to their empire. We know very little about these humans, Vorath said carefully. Perhaps we should be cautious. Silen laughed. His sharp teeth gleamed in the bridge lights. Cautious? They are young species. They have been in space for barely 300 years. Our empire has ruled for 12,000. What could they possibly do against us? High General Thorax, their military advisor, stepped forward. He was an old warrior with scars covering his gray skin. My prince, our scouts report only one human vessel in the system, a small ship, reconnaissance class. Silence. Eyes brightened. One ship. This is too perfect. We will destroy it and claim the planet before their fleet even knows we are here. Vor felt uneasy, but he said nothing. His brother was leading this mission, and their father had made it clear that Silen needed a victory to prove himself worthy of future command. The Dravari fleet moved through the system like predators stalking prey. The human vessel appeared on their sensors soon enough. It was small, barely a fraction of the size of their warships. The name on its hull ribbed USS Wanderer. On board the Wanderer, Lieutenant Carla Vance watched the approaching fleet with calm eyes. She was a woman in her early 30s with short brown hair and a face that showed no fear. Around her crew worked at their stations with practice efficiency. 12 warships, Lieutenant, said Corporal Megan Price. From the communications console. She was young with red hair tied back in a tight bun. Dravari Empire markings. There. Not responding to our hails, Sergeant Danny Holt stood near the weapons station. Though their small ship had little in the way of weapons, he was a big man with a shaved head and arms covered in old scars. They're moving into attack formation, ma'am. Carla nodded slowly. Keep trying to reach them, Megan. Tell them we're a reconnaissance vessel on a peaceful survey mission. We have no hostile intentions. Sending now, Megan replied on the Glory of K. The human message arrived. Silen re-added and smiled. They claim to be peaceful. They beg us not to attack. They are asking for dialogue, Varth corrected. That is not the same as begging. Sun waved his hand dismissively. It does not matter. Their words changed nothing. General Thorax opened fire. Thorax hesitated for just a moment, glancing at Vath, but an order from a prince was in order. He gave the command. The first shot struck the Wanderer's shields. The small ship shook violently. Alarm screamed throughout its corridors. Carla gripped her chair as another blast hit them. Shields at 40%. Danny reported. We can't take much more of this. Megan, sent a distress signal. Carlo ordered. Full emergency broadcast. Include our coordinates and the enemy fleet composition. Already sending. Ma'am. Another hit. The lights flickered somewhere in the ship. Metal Groaned and twisted, shields are gone. Danny said hull breach on deck 3. Carla made her decision in an instant. All hands abandon ship, get to the escape pods, we're going down to the plant. The crew moved quickly. They had trained for situations like this, though. None of them had ever expected to face. 23 people rushed through the damaged corridors of the Wanderer, grabbing weapons and supplies as they went. Private First Class Eli Grant, the ship's medic, helped a wounded crew member toward the pods. He was a thin man with gentle eyes, but his hands were steady and sure. Keep moving, he said calmly, we're going to make it. The escape pods launched just as the Wanderer broke apart under the Dravari assault. Carla watched through the small window as her ship died in a ball of fire. She felt a moment of grief, but pushed it aside. There would be time for that later. Right now, survival was all that mattered. Not all the pods made it. The Dravari shot down several as they fell toward the planet. When Carla's pod crashed into the dense jungle below, she counted only 9 survivors gathering at the wreckage, 9 people out of 23. Danny was there checking his rifle. Megan had made it, though her arm was bleeding. A was already treating the wounded. 6 others stood nearby, looking shaken but alive. What do we do now, Lieutenant? One of them asked. Before Carla could answer, a massive Dravari transport ship descended through the clouds. It landed in a clearing. Half a mile away, she could see hundreds of alien soldiers marching out in perfect formation. They're sending ground troops, Danny observed. Looks like they want prisoners. Megan checked her damage communicator. The distress signal went out. Fleet Command will send help, but it could take days for them to reach us. Days? Carla looked at her. Small team, 9 people minimal weapons, limited supplies, and an army of alien warriors coming to hunt them. She should have felt despair. Instead, she felt something else rising in her chest, something cold and determined. Then we make them work for every single one of us, she said. Her voice was steady. We know this jungle. We train for survival in hostile environments. They don't know what they're walking into. Danny grinned. It was not a pleasant expression. You want to fight back against 500 of them? I want to survive, Carla corrected. And if they want to stop us, they're going to bleed for it. Eli finished bandaging Megan's arm and looked up. What's the plan? Carla studied the jungle around them. Dense vegetation, uneven terrain, 100 places to hide, 1,000 places to set traps. We don't fight them head on, she said. We make them fear every shadow, every step, every breath. They want prisoners. She picked up her rifle and checked the charge. Let's make them earn it. On the Glory of K, Prince watched the ground operation begin with satisfaction. 500 of our finest warriors against a handful of survivors. This will be over before nightfall. Morath said nothing, but somewhere deep in his mind, a small voice whispered a warning. Something about this felt wrong. He ignored it. That would prove to be a mistake. The bridge of the Dravari warship Glory of Kal was quiet except for the soft hum of vengeance. Prince Vorath stood near the viewing window, his 4 eyes scanning the darkness of space. Behind him, his younger brother Silen paced back and forth with excitement. 12 warships, Silen said proudly. 12 of our finest vessels against whatever pathetic force the humans have stationed here. This will be easy, brother. Morath did not share his brother's enthusiasm. Their father, Emperor Calvarin, had sent them on this mission to secure a resource-rich planet on the border between their empire and human colonial space. The planet was called Varith 7 by the Dravari, though the humans had given it some other name. It did not matter. Soon it would belong to their empire. We know very little about these humans, Voris said carefully. Perhaps we should be cautious. Syl laughed. His sharp teeth gleamed in the bridge. Light, cautious. They are a young species. They have been in space for barely 300 years. Our empire has ruled for 12,000. What could they possibly do against us? High General Thorax, their military advisor, stepped forward. He was an old warrior with scars covering his gray skin. My prince, our scouts report only one human vessel in the system, a small ship, reconnaissance class. Silence. Eyes brightened. One ship, this is too perfect. We will destroy it and claim the pie before their fleet even knows we are here. Loris felt uneasy, but he said nothing. His brother was leading this mission, and their father had made it clear that Scylla needed a victory to prove himself worthy of future command. The Dervari fleet moved through the system like predators stalking prey. The human vessel appeared on their sensors. Soon enough, it was small, barely a fraction of the size of their warships. The name on its hull read USS Wanderer. On board the Wanderer, Lieutenant Carla Vance watched the approaching fleet with calm eyes. She was a woman in her early 30s with short brown hair and a face that showed no fear. Around her crew worked at their stations with practiced efficiency. 12 warships, Lieutenant said Corporal Megan Price. From the communications console, she was young with red hair tied back in a tight bun. Dravari Empire markings. They're not responding to our hails. Sergeant Danny Holt stood near the weapons station, though their small ship had little in the way of weapons. He was a big man with a shaved head and arms covered in old scars. They're moving into attack formation. Ma'am. Carla nodded slowly. Keep trying to reach them, Megan. Tell them we're a reconnaissance vessel on a peaceful survey mission. We have no hostile intentions. Sending now, Megan replied. On the glory of K, the human message arrived. Scylla re-added and smiled. They claim to be peaceful. They beg us not to attack. They are asking for dialogue. Varth corrected. That is not the same as begging. Sun waved his hand dismissively. It does not matter. Their words changed nothing. General Thorax. Open enough. The jungle of Vera 7 was thick and dark. Massive trees with blue leaves blocked out most of the sunlight. Strange creatures called out from the shadows. The air was heavy and wet, making it hard to breathe. Commander Drax led the first hunting party through this alien landscape. He was a veteran of 30 campaigns, and he had never failed to capture his prey. 500 warriors followed behind him, their weapons ready, their confidence high. The humans crashed somewhere ahead. Drax told his troops, find them, capture them alive if possible. The princes want trophies. The Dravari soldiers spread out through the jungle. They moved in standard formation, just as they had been trained. Their armor gleamed, their weapons hummed with deadly energy. They had no idea what was waiting for them. Doc Kala watched from high in the trees. She had positioned her team at key points throughout the jungle, each person hidden and ready. They had spent the first few hours preparing, setting traps, creating false trails, learning the terrain. First group coming through Megan's voice crackled through the communicator. 20 soldiers, Sector 4. Carla clicked her communicator twice. The signal for understood. The 20 Dravari soldiers walked directly into the first trap. Danny had rigged a fallen tree with explosives made from their escape pods, emergency fuel cells. When the soldiers passed beneath it, he triggered the blast. The explosion was massive. Trees shattered, the ground shook. When the smoke cleared, none of the 20 soldiers were standing. Commander Drax heard the explosion from half a mile away. He immediately called for a report. First squad is gone, Commander. Came the reply. All 20, some kind of explosive device. Drax felt the first hint of concern, but he pushed it aside. Continue the search. Stay alert for traps. The hunt continued, but now the Dravari moved more slowly, more carefully. Every shadow seemed threatening. Every sound made them jump, which was exactly what Carla wanted. The second attack came an hour later. Group of soldiers found what looked like a human supply cache. When they approached to investigate, Eli triggered a hidden pit trap. The ground collapsed beneath them, dropping 15 soldiers into a hole filled with sharpened stakes made from tree branches. The screams echoed through the jungle. Another 15 gone, Denny reported with grim satisfaction. They're getting nervous. Carla nodded. Good, nervous soldiers make mistakes. Keep moving. Don't let them pin down our positions. The humans moved like ghosts through the jungle. They struck without warning and vanished. Before the Dravari could respond, they used every trick they knew. False trails that led to dead ends, noise makers that drew soldiers into kill zones, camouflage positions that let them ambush and escape. Thought by nightfall, the Dravari had lost 47 soldiers. They had not even seen a single human on the Glory of K. Prince stared at the casualty reports with disbelief. 47. How is this possible, High General? Thorax shook his head slowly. The humans are using guerrilla tactics, my prince. They know the terrain better than we do. They are picking us apart piece by piece, then send more soldiers. Sillin snapped, overwhelmed them with numbers. Brother Voris said quietly, perhaps we should reconsider. These humans are proving more capable than we expected. Sillin turned on him with fury in his eyes. More capable? They are vermin, hiding in the dirt. I will not be embarrassed by a handful of survivors. From a single scout ship, he turned back to Thorax. Send another 500 soldiers at dawn. I want those humans captured by tomorrow night. Thorax bowed. As you command, my prince. But as he left the bridge, the old general felt something he had not felt in many years. Doubt. In the jungle below, Carla gathered her team at a hidden camp. They were exhausted but alive. The day had been a success by any measure. They had inflicted heavy casualties without losing anyone, but Carla knew their luck would not last forever. They'll send more tomorrow, she told her team. Probably a lot more. We need to be ready. Megan looked up from her work. She had managed to hack into the Dravari communication frequency using salvaged equipment. I can feed them false information, make them think we're somewhere we're not. Do it, Carla said. Danny, I need more traps, bigger ones. Whatever you can build with what we have. Danny grinned. Already working on it. I was treating a minor wound on one of the other survivors. He looked tired, but his hands were steady as always. We lost contact with Peters and Wang, he said quietly. They were in Sector 7, when the last patrol went through, the camp went silent. Everyone knew what that meant. Carla felt the loss like a physical weight. Two of her people were gone, 2 lives that had trusted her to keep them safe. We keep moving, she said finally. We make their sacrifice mean something. We survive until help arrives. No one argued. They were too tired, too focused on the task ahead. That night, while most of the team slept, Carla sat alone in the darkness. She thought about her crew, about the Wanderer, about the distress signal flying through space toward fleet command. Help would come. She had to believe that. The only question was whether any of them would still be alive. When it arrived, miles away in the Dravari base camp, Commander Drax reviewed the day's footage from his soldiers' helmet cameras. He watched the explosions, the ambush, the traps. He watched his warriors die without ever seeing their enemy, and he began to understand something that Prince Silen refused to accept. These humans were not helpless survivors. They were hunters. Every move they made, every trap they set showed training and discipline that rivaled own forces, maybe exceeded them. He took his concerns to High General Thorax late that night. These are not ordinary soldiers, Drax said. Their tactics are too refined. Their coordination is too precise. They fight like special forces. Thorax nodded grimly. I have begun to suspect the same thing. Then what are we dealing with? Thorax pulled up a display showing human military classifications. He had begun researching their enemy. After the first reports came in, what he found troubled him deeply. According to their records, the USS Wanderer was a reconnaissance vessel. Its crew were scouts and survey specialists. They are not combat troops. Drax stared at him. That's impossible. No simple scouts could do what they did today. Thorax looked at the casualty reports. 47 dead. 7 humans still alive. I know, he said quietly, and that is what worries me. He turned off the display and looked at Drax with ancient, weary eyes. These are not soldiers, Commander. These are predators. And we have walked directly into their hunting ground. Dawn broke over the jungle of Varith 7. The blue leaves of the massive trees caught the light and glowed softly. It would have been beautiful if not for the 500 fresh Divari soldiers marching through the undergrowth. 1,000 warriors now hunted 7 humans. Prince Silen had decided to lead this assault personally. He wore ceremonial armor that gleamed like silver. A plasma blade hung at his side. He wanted to be the one to capture these humans and drag them back to his father in chains. Spread out, he commanded. Cover every inch of this jungle. I want those humans found within the hour. Morith watched his brother from the command ship above. He had chosen not to join the ground assault. Something about this entire situation felt wrong to him. The humans had killed 47 elite warriors with nothing but improvised weapons and traps. That should not be possible. He turned to High General Thorax. Tell me more about these humans. What do we actually know about their species? Thorax pulled up a data file. They come from a world called Earth, a harsh planet by most standards, high gravity, extreme temperature variations, dangerous native wildlife. Their species evolved as persistent hunters. They would chase prey for hours, even days, until it collapsed from exhaustion. Barath considered this persistence hunters, so they are built for endurance. More than that, my prince. They are built for survival, there. History is filled with examples of humans enduring conditions that would kill most species, extreme cold, extreme heat, starvation, disease. They simply refused to die on the planet below. Carla was putting that survival instinct to the test. Her team had been moving all night. They were exhausted, hungry, and running low on supplies, but they were alive and they intended to stay. That way, new forces landed an hour ago. Megan reported, looks like another 500. That makes 1,000 total hunting us. Danny let out a low whistle. 1,000 soldiers against 7 people. That's got to be some kind of record. There's not a record we want to keep. Carla said we need to change tactics. They're learning from our traps. We need to hit them in ways they don't expect. Eli spoke up quietly. I have an idea, but he might not like it. Carla looked at him. I'm listening. We've been killing them, making them fear us, but fear only goes so far. Maybe we should try something else. He paused. Show them mercy. Others stared at him. Mercy, Danny said. They're trying to kill us. They're trying to capture us, Eli corrected, and if we show them that we're not monsters, that we have honor, it might confuse them, make them question what they're doing. Carla thought about it. It was a strange idea, but strange ideas sometimes worked when normal ones failed. What did you have in mind? An hour later, a Dravari patrol found one of their wounded soldiers. He had been caught in a trap the day before and left for dead by his own people, but someone had treated his wounds, bandaged his broken leg, left food and water beside him. The soldier was confused and grateful. When his comrades asked what happened, he told them the truth. Human found me, a thin one with gentle hands. He could have killed me. Instead, he saved my life. He said, they only fight because we force them to. Word of this spread quickly through the Dravari ranks. Some dismissed it as a trick, others were not so sure. Prince Sillin heard the story and scoffed. Weakness. They are trying to make us hesitate. It will not work. But Prince Mora heard the story and felt something shift in his understanding. He pulled up more information about human culture, their history, their values. What he found surprised him. Humans were violent. There was no denying that their history was filled with wars and conflicts, but it was also filled with something else, acts of mercy, moments of compassion, stories of enemies becoming friends. They were capable of terrible destruction, but they were also capable of great kindness. This made them more dangerous, not less. Meanwhile, the ground assault continued. Prince Selen pushed his soldiers forward, demanding results. The Dravari swept through the jungle in massive numbers, trying to corner the humans with sheer force, and the humans kept slipping away. They moved through tunnels they had dug during the night. They hid in trees and underwater and in holes covered with leaves. They struck from unexpected angles and vanished before the Dravari could respond. By midday, another 83 Dravari soldiers dead. Prince Sillin was furious. He screamed at his commanders, demanded explanations, threatened punishment, but no amount of anger could change the reality. 7 humans were making fools of 1,000 warriors. On the command ship, Vorath finally found what he was looking for in the human military database. He stared at the information on his screen and his blood went cold. U.S. Wanderer. Classification: Reconnaissance vessel primary mission. Survey and observation crew designation. Scouts. Scouts. Not soldiers. Not special forces. Not elite warriors. Scouts. The humans they were fighting were not even meant for combat. They were observers. Their job was to look at things and write reports. They were the human equivalent of mapmakers and note-takers, and they had killed over 130 elite Dravari warriors. Vorath burst onto the bridge where Thorax was monitoring the ground assault. General, I need you to see this. Thorax looked at the data. His face went pale. This cannot be correct, he whispered. It is correct. I verified it 3 times. The USS Wanderer was a reconnaissance vessel. Its crew were trained for observation, not combat. These humans are their weakest military personnel. Thorax sat down heavily. He suddenly looked very old. If their scouts can do this, he said slowly, what can their warriors do? Vorath had been asking himself the same question. The answer terrified him. He went immediately to the communication system and contacted his brother on the surface. Silen, you need to pull back our forces now. Silence. Voice came back, angry and dismissive. Pull back, we have them cornered. Another few hours and this will be over. Listen to me, Vorath said urgently. These humans are scouts, reconnaissance personnel. They are not trained for combat. If they can fight like this, imagine what their actual soldiers can do. There was silence on the other end. You're wrong, Silen finally said. You must be wrong. I'm not wrong. Check the records yourself. We attacked a survey ship. Silen, we declared war on their explorers. What do you think their military will do when they find out? Silen did not answer. In the jungle below, Carla had no idea about the revelation happening in orbit. She only knew that her team was running out of time. They had lost another person during the morning assault, a young woman named Cooper who had been covering their retreat. 6 humans left. 6 against 1,000. The odds were impossible, but Carla had stopped thinking about odds. She thought only about the next hour, the next trap, the next breath. The distress signal reached Fleet Command yesterday. Megan said if they sent ships immediately, they could be here within 48 hours. 48 hours. An eternity when you were being hunted. Danny checked his ammunition. We're almost out of everything. A few more traps, a few more ambush, then we'll be fighting with rocks and sticks. Carla looked at her team. They were exhausted, wounded, desperate, but they were not defeated. Then we fight with rocks and sticks, she said. Whatever it takes, we hold until help arrives. Above them, Prince Vorath made a decision. He opened a communication channel to his father. Father, we have made a terrible mistake. The stars above Varith 7 rippled and tore as dozens of ships emerged from faster than light travel. They came in perfect formation, their hulls gleaming with weapons and armor. At their head flew the massive carrier Resolute, flagship of Admiral Howard Blake and the 3rd Expeditionary Fleet. 47 human warships now surrounded the 12 Dravari vessels. On the glory of K alarm screamed. Officers shouted reports. Prince Vorath stood frozen, watching the human fleet appear on his sensors like an avalanche of steel and fire. 47 ships, Doric said quietly. Heavy cruisers, destroyers, carriers. This is not a rescue mission, my prince. This is a war fleet. Vorath knew the general was right. The Dravari were outnumbered and outdid. One wrong move would mean The destruction of every ship in there. Small fleet, a communication signal came. Through, Vorath accepted it. The face that appeared on screen belonged to a human male in his 50s. He had gray hair, cut short, and eyes that seemed to look through you rather than at you. His uniform was simple but carried the marks of high rank. I am Admiral Howard Blake, of the United Earth Navy. The human said. His voice was calm and measured. You have attacked a civilian reconnaissance vessel operating in neutral territory. You have killed members of its crew. You are currently hunting the survivors on the planet below. Vor opened his mouth to respond, but Blake continued, I am giving you one chance, one. Stand down immediately. Recall all ground forces. Release any prisoners. If you do this, we will negotiate a peaceful resolution to this incident. Prince Cylin, still on the surface, listened to this through his communicator. His pride burned. We do not take orders from humans. We are the Dravari Empire. We, brother VH, interrupted sharply. Be silent. Cylin sputtered with outrage, but Varth ignored him. He looked at the human admiral on the screen. We will need time to recall our ground forces. Blake nodded once. You have 6 hours, no more. The screen went dark. On the planet below, Prince refused to obey his brother's command. He was so close to victory. He could feel it. Just a few more hours and the humans would be his. All forces advance, he ordered. Find them now. Kill them if you must, but end this. The remaining Dravari soldiers, nearly 900 strong, pushed forward in a massive wave. They swept through the jungle, burning vegetation, clearing hiding spots, leaving nowhere for the humans to run. Carla watched them coming from her position on a rocky ridge. Her team was down to 5 people. Now they had almost no ammunition left. No more explosives. No more tricks. This is it, Danny said. He held his rifle like it was an old friend. We make our stand here. Megan was still trying to boost our communicator signal. If I can just get through to the fleet, let them know our position. Keep trying, Carla told her. She looked at the approaching army. So many soldiers, so much firepower, and just 5 tired, wounded humans standing in their way. She thought about her family back on Earth, her mother, her sister. She wondered if they would ever know what happened here. Lieutenant, Eli said softly. He was looking up at the sky. Look. Carla followed his gaze. At first she saw nothing but clouds. Then she noticed movement, small shapes dropping through the atmosphere, dozens of them, then hundreds. Drop pods. Human drop pods. The first wave of Marines hit the ground half a mile from the ridge. 800 soldiers in power battle armor, carrying weapons that made the Dravari equipment look like toys. They moved with precision and speed, forming a defensive line between the ridge and the approaching enemy. The Dravari assault stopped in its tracks. Prince Cylin stared at the armored humans with disbelief. These soldiers were nothing like the scouts he had been hunting. They were bigger, stronger, covered in metal, and carrying enough firepower to level a city. What is this? He whispered. A Marine sergeant approached the ridge where Carla's team was positioned. He removed his helmet, revealing a young man with dark skin and a wide smile. Lieutenant Vance, Sergeant Marcus Cole, 3rd Marine Battalion. We're here to get you home. Carla felt her legs go weak. She had to grab a tree to stay standing. After everything they had been through, After all the running and fighting and dying, help had finally arrived. Sergeant, she managed to say, you have no idea how good it is to see you. Cole looked around at the 5 survivors. Then he looked out at the jungle where the Dravari army had stopped its advance. Ma'am, command told us you held off 2,000 hostiles with a scout team. Is that true? Danny laughed. It was a harsh, exhausted sound. We weren't holding them off, we were just trying not to die. Cole shook his head with something like wonder. Well, you did more than that. You made them scared. Our sensors picked up their communications. Half of them wanted to retreat before we even landed. Megan finally got her communicator working. She relayed their position to the fleet. Within minutes, medical shuttles were on their way. On the ground, the Dravari soldiers were surrounded. The human Marines had cut off their retreat and were slowly closing in. There would be no escape. Prince Silen stood in the middle of his army, watching everything he had worked for collapse. His pride, his glory, his victory, all of it was gone. A human Marine approached him under a flag of truce. The massive armored soldier towered over the Dravari prince. You are ordered to surrender, the Marine said. Drop your weapons. Instruct your soldiers to do the same. No one else needs to die today. Silen wanted to fight. Every instinct told him to raise his weapon and go down with honor. But when he looked around at his soldiers, he saw fear in their eyes. They had been beaten completely and utterly beaten by 5 humans and a rescue force that arrived in time. He dropped his plasma blade on the ground. We surrender, he said. The words tasted like ash in his mouth. As the Dravari soldiers laid down their weapons, Carla was loaded onto a medical shuttle. Allie sat beside her, treating her wounds with gentle hands. We made it, she said quietly. We actually made it. Eli nodded. We did. Though I'm not sure how. Through the shuttle window, Kara could see the Marines securing the Dravari prisoners. Hundreds of alien soldiers being disarmed and organized for transport. It was over, but she knew this was not really the end. It was just the beginning of something much larger. On the glory of K, Prince Vora watched his brothers surrender through the ship's sensors. He felt no anger, only a strange sense of relief. The fighting was over. No more of his people would die today. High General Thorax stood beside him. The Emperor will be furious. We came here to claim a planet and prove our strength. Instead, we lost nearly 2,000 soldiers to a handful of scouts and their rescue force. Barth nodded slowly. Yes, Father will be furious, but perhaps that fury will teach him something valuable. What do you mean? Loreth looked at the human fleet surrounding his ships, 47 vessels each, one bristling with weapons, and somewhere down on that planet, 5 exhausted humans who had done the impossible. I mean that perhaps it is better to learn this lesson now, with a small defeat, than to learn it later with the destruction of our entire empire. Thorax considered this. After a long moment he nodded. The humans are dangerous, Vor continued, more dangerous than we ever imagined, but they are also merciful. They could have destroyed our fleet. Instead, they offered us a chance to surrender peacefully. He turned away from the window. We would be wise to remember both of those things. The throne room of the Dravari Imperial Palace was vast and cold. Pillars of black stone rose toward a ceiling lost in shadow. Torches burned with pale blue flame along the walls, at the far end. On a throne carved from a single piece of dark crystal sat Emperor Calvorin. He was ancient, his skin had faded from gray to almost white, his fore burned, with an intelligence that had ruled an empire for 3 centuries, and right now those eyes were fixed on his 2 sons with barely contained fury. Prince Vareth and Prince Silin knelt before their father, Silent's head hung low with shame. Loreth's remained level, meeting the Emperor's gaze directly. "Explain the," Emperor said. That single word echoed through the throne room like thunder. Voreth spoke first. "Father, we encountered a human reconnaissance vessel in the disputed system. Prince Selin ordered an attack. The vessel was destroyed, but some of its crew survived and landed on the planet's surface, and then the Emperor asked coldly, we sent ground forces to capture them, 500 elite warriors against 9 human survivors. 9, the Emperor's voice was flat. You sent 500 warriors against 9 humans. Continue. Voreth took a breath. The humans used guerrilla tactics. They set traps. They ambushed our soldiers. By the end of the first day, we had lost 47 warriors. Sulin flinched at the number. The Emperor said nothing. We sent reinforcements. Another 500 soldiers, then more. Eventually, we had over 2,000 warriors hunting the surviving humans. At that point, there were only 7 of them left, and your casualties. Vor did not look away from his father's eyes. 1,847 dead, 2,000 captured when the human fleet arrived. Silence filled the throne room. The Emperor sat perfectly still on his throne. His expression revealed nothing. Nearly 2,000 of my soldiers, he finally said, dead against 9 humans. 7 humans, and not a single one of them was captured or killed by our forces. No, father. The Emperor rose from his throne. He was tall despite his age, and power radiated from him like heat from a fire. You attacked a reconnaissance vessel, he said slowly. A ship full of scientists and observers, not warriors, and they destroyed you. Silin finally spoke. His voice was barely a whisper. Father, I take full responsibility. I underestimated them. I be silent soon. Fell silent. The Emperor walked down from his throne, his footsteps echoing in the vast chamber. He stopped directly in front of his sons. Do you know what the humans call the unit classification you encountered? Their scouts and survey personnel. Neither son answered. They call them non-combat essential personnel. They are considered support roles, assistants, paper pushers. The Emperor's voice grew harder with each word. They're actual warriors there. Soldiers trained for battle are an entirely different thing, and you, my sons, woke them up. He turned and walked toward a window that overlooked the imperial capital. Millions of Dravari lived in the city below. They had no idea how close they had come to disaster. The humans sent 47 warships to rescue 9 of their people. 9, do you understand what that means? Voreth spoke carefully. It means they value their people. It means they are willing to go to war over a handful of lives. It means they do not abandon their own. It means they will fight and keep fighting until there is nothing left to fight. The Emperor turned back to face his sons, and now they know that we attacked them without provocation, that we tried to take prisoners as trophies, that we slaughtered their crew for the crime of being in space near our territory. He sat back on his throne. Suddenly he looked very old, a human Diplomatic envoy is on its way here. They are offering us a treaty. Non-aggression, mutual respect of. Borders, peaceful resolution of. Disputes, Sillin looked up with. Surprise, they're offering peace after. What we did, yes, they are offering us a chance to walk away from this with our empire intact. The emperor stared at his younger son with something like disgust. And we are going to take it because the alternative is a war we cannot win. 2 days later, the human envoy arrived. Their shuttle landed in the main plaza of the imperial capital, watched by thousands of curious Dravari citizens. The human delegation was small. Diplomat named Ambassador Patricia Hayes led the group. She was a woman in her 60s with silver hair and a calm, measured manner. She smiled politely as she was escorted into the palace. Behind her walked a young woman in a military dress uniform, Lieutenant Carla Vance. She had been asked to accompany the diplomatic mission as a symbol of human resilience. Prince Vorath watched them enter the throne room. His eyes met Carlo's for a moment. She did not look away. There was no hatred in her gaze, no anger, just a quiet strength that he was beginning to understand. The diplomatic negotiations were brief. The humans wanted peace. The Dravari needed peace. An agreement was reached within hours. After the official ceremony, Vor found himself standing near the human lieutenant. He approached her cautiously. Lieutenant Vance, I am Prince Vorath. I was present when your ship was attacked. Carla turned to face him. She was shorter than him by nearly a foot, but somehow she did not seem small. I know who you are, she said. Your brother led the ground assault. You stayed in orbit. Yes. Vorath hesitated. I want you to know that I argued against the attack, not that it matters now. Carla studied him for a long moment, then she nodded. Slowly, it matters. It matters that at least one of you understood something was wrong. She paused. Your people killed 14 members of my crew, friends of mine, good people who deserve better. Morath felt shame burn in his chest. I am sorry for your losses, truly so am I. Carlo looked toward the window, toward the alien sky. But we're still here, both of us, and if this treaty holds, maybe no one else has to die for a stupid mistake. Lorath considered her words. This human had watched her ship destroyed. She had fought for days against impossible odds. She had lost friends, colleagues, people she cared about, and here she was talking about peace. You are a remarkable species, he said quietly. Dangerous but remarkable. Carla almost smiled. We just want to live our lives and explore the stars. We don't want enemies, but we're really good at dealing with them when we have to. That night, after the humans had returned to their ship, Prince Sillin sat alone in his chambers. He had been stripped of his military rank. His father had made it clear that he would never command forces again. He pulled out his personal log and began to write. I came to this mission seeking glory. I wanted to prove myself worthy of my father's throne. Instead, I proved only my own foolishness. He paused, remembering the jungle, the traps, the explosions, the fear that had slowly taken hold of his soldiers as they realized they were the prey, not the hunters. We wanted to teach the humans fear. We wanted to show them the power of the Dravari Empire. We sent thousands of our finest warriors against a handful of their weakest personnel. He stopped writing. His hands were shaking. Instead, they taught us That strength is not measured in numbers or weapons. They taught us that the will to survive can overcome any odds. They taught us that mercy can be more powerful than cruelty. He looked out his window at the stars. Somewhere out there, the humans were returning home. Their scout team would be celebrated as heroes. Their story would spread across human space, and the Dravari would become a cautionary tale. The empire that attacked humanity's explorers and paid the price. Sillin finished his log entry with words that would haunt him for the rest of his life. We only fought a human scout unit. We only fought their observers, their mapmakers, their weakest link, and they broke us. He sat down his writing tool and stared at the stars. I pray we never have to face their warriors.